As soon as the world is back to normal, traveling will be one of my top priorities, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this thought. But finding the perfect vacation spot is a bit tricky, and there are a lot of things to consider. Foremost among these is safety, because let's face it, not all tourist destinations are tourist friendly. Number one is actually a tourist magnet, but is actually a very dangerous place to visit. Find out where it is as we give you 10 of the most dangerous tourist places in the world.
Get strong.
Number 10. Honduras. Honduras' fascinating Maya ruins, sparkling beaches, and vibrant culture makes it a beautiful travel destination in Central America. But beneath the natural beauty of Honduras is a high crime rate. Most criminal activity is a petty theft variety, with pickpockets and purse snatching occurring quite frequently against unsuspecting tourists. In addition to high rates of petty crime in Honduras, there's also a growing concern about violent incidents, such as kidnapping, rape, assault, and murder. Armed robbery is a common problem, with thieves targeting both pedestrians and tourist vehicles. Murder is, of course, perhaps the biggest concern for foreigners. Between 2010 and 2015, Honduras had the highest murder rate in the world. Areas that see higher incidents of foreigners being murdered include San Pedro Sula and La Ceiba, with many incidents occurring shortly after the victims arrived. This may be due to tips obtained from criminal sources that hang out at airport arrival areas. Because of this, visitors are strongly advised not to discuss the details of their travel plans in public. Number 9. Kenya. Compared to other African countries, Kenya is a relatively safe place for tourists. Kenya's remarkable savannas, iconic wildlife, and snowy mountain peaks grace many a traveler's bucket list. But the U.S. Department of State is currently advising against travel to the country. First of all, there is a high risk of getting malaria from this country, which should be no problem if you have yourself properly vaccinated before going on your trip. However, mosquitoes aren't the only insect you should be wary about. You also need to watch out for biting wasps and scorpions, both of whom you wouldn't want to get stung by. Trust me. Crime is also pretty prevalent there, especially in the big cities, particularly Nairobi. Eastleigh in Nairobi's east is considered a high-risk area due to the number of terror-related incidents that have occurred since 2012. Violent crimes have also been known to occur in Buruburu, Kasarani, Mathare, Pangan, South B, and South C. Number 8. Acapulco, Mexico. Mexico was sure to make the list at some point, am I right? Although these days it's hard to judge whether Acapulco, or many Mexican cities for that matter, can still be considered tourist destinations. Beautiful beaches, a perfect climate, and cuisine that's hard to beat does not outweigh being named the third most violent city in the world. Acapulco used to be one of Mexico's most prosperous cities and is still one of the country's most popular tourist destinations, but the high levels of crime mean that tourists and locals are under constant threat of danger. The narcotics industry naturally plays a huge role in the city's crime, but the tourist population also plays a big role in the narcotics trade. People do still travel to Acapulco and enjoy themselves, leaving with positive memories, so I guess not all is bad. Take care of yourself, though. Don't make yourself an obvious target and you're likely to get on just fine. Number 7. El Salvador. Basking in the Central American sun, catching smiles from locals, and riding world-famous surf rates. It's hard to believe that El Salvador has one of the highest homicide rates in the world. Although gang violence is rarely targeted at foreigners, extreme caution is a must to make sure you don't end up in the line of fire. It's no lie that crime is a problem in El Salvador, but most travelers get out of the country without trouble. Around 4,000 murders a year occur on the streets of El Salvador, with gangs taking control of many areas. The country's capital, San Salvador, is where most of the violent attacks take place, but some areas are obviously more at risk than others. Needless to say, trying to avoid walking at night in these places, whether alone or in a group. There are safe places to visit as well. Escalon, San Benito, Zona Rosa, Maquilhuat, La Grande Via, and Multiplaza. Even though these places are said to be safe, avoid traveling alone, hide valuables, don't carry too much money, be careful when withdrawing money from the ATM, and if possible, carry a photocopy of your passport, not your actual hard copy. Number 6. India. Though India is considered a generally safe country, due to its size there are more dangerous areas and less dangerous ones. If you find yourself visiting this undeniably beautiful country, it is quite necessary that you remain vigilant at all times. Pickpockets operate literally everywhere in India and are especially common in crowded places, and of course in public transport. Of course, every tourist destination will have a number of petty criminals milling about, right? Unfortunately, these aren't the only things you should be worried about in India. Getting scammed in India is somewhat of a sure thing, especially if you're visiting the country for the first time. Taxi scams with taxi drivers convincing you to take other accommodations are very common, as are those where vendors give you less change than they should. Whatever service anyone offers you, you find out how much it costs first, because they will try to charge literally everything. For some reason, India has been a prime target for terrorism as well. Anti-Western terrorist groups sometimes operate in India, including Islamist extremist groups. It is also a place that is particularly dangerous for women. Sexual assaults are on the rise in India, and it's dangerous for women to travel alone in this country, whether by day or by night. Number 5. Thailand. Thailand has been Southeast Asia's tourist hub for years now, and is truly one of the world's most fascinating countries. Thailand is generally a safe country to visit, but it's smart to exercise caution, especially when it comes to dealing with strangers. You have to be cautious with strangers, Thai and foreign alike, as well as worry about traveling alone. Although quite rare, assaults on tourists does happen in Thailand. Causing a Thai to lose face, meaning making them feel public embarrassment or humiliation, can sometimes elicit an inexplicably strong and violent reaction. Add to that the effect of alcohol, as there are many clubs and bars in here, especially in the big city, minor disagreements may end up in fisticuffs. Thais can also be so friendly and laid back that some visitors are lulled into a false sense of security, making them vulnerable to scams of all kinds. Bangkok is especially good at long, involved frauds that dupe travelers into thinking they made a friend and are getting a bargain, when in fact they're getting ripped off. All offers of free shopping or sightseeing help from strangers should be ignored, as they will invariably take a commission from your purchases. Number 4. Peru. Peru, for those not in the know, is a country in South America located on the western side of that continent, encompassing a part of the Andes mountain belt that runs in the length of South America and facing the South Pacific Ocean. Overall, Peru is somewhat safe to visit, though it does have many dangers. Pickpockets are a serious concern in this country, as is violent crime, and you should exercise caution and keep your money and your valuables elsewhere, like in hidden pockets of your clothes, and never ever keep all of your money in the same place. There is also a somewhat high risk of getting scammed in Peru. Be very wary of people lurking around ATMs or anyone trying to distract you. Taxi drivers might try to trick you into paying more, giving you wrongful information about the price of the ride. These crimes are poverty-driven, and Peru's poverty level is quite high. And where there's poverty, there will always be petty crime. Number 3. Israel. Israel's history as the birthplace of more than one world religion makes it a prime vacation spot for visitors seeking to learn about their religious heritage. However, the country has some unique challenges visitors should be aware of. The Department of State urges U.S. citizens to avoid travel in particular to the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. The Gaza Strip is under the control of the terrorist organization Hamas and is not considered safe for foreigners. West Bank visitors can be caught in violent disturbances and demonstrations that occur without warning. Foreign citizens have been kidnapped in both areas, and to make matters worse, travelers who manage to enter the Gaza Strip or the West Bank and encounter difficulties can expect only limited assistance from the U.S. consulate. Find out where it is next with number 2, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. The Caribbean perhaps isn't a place you'd immediately think of when it comes to dangerous tourist destinations. You'd probably be thinking about secluded island paradise, or Johnny Depp. Well, it certainly is paradise if you stay in the resort, but we all know that it isn't always the best spent vacation. Unfortunately, straying from the resort in Haiti or the Dominican Republic can land you in a heap of trouble. Like with most of the places in this list, credit card fraud is rampant. Bank machines aren't very reliable either. Kidnappings, muggings, and even assault are known to happen, and while numbers of deadly crimes are dropping, robberies and violence are not. Even resort grounds have a high level of reported criminality. Much of this can again be blamed on the immense poverty affecting mainly the Haiti side of the island. which is by far the worst of the two countries. But common sense should also be practiced at all times in both regions, especially when it comes to flashing your wealth around. So keep it hidden and you'll be fine. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Brazil. Brazil is one of the most beautiful countries on planet Earth, and that is a fact. At the same time, it's also a very dangerous place to visit, which is also a fact. The main problem in Brazil is the epic crime rate, with a murder rate 4 times that of the United States, according to the Department of State. The thing is, murder is just the tip of the iceberg in Brazil. High numbers of rape, robberies, and quicknappings occur. Quicknappings are a new kind of crime where a person is abducted for just a short amount of time with a quick payoff, typically from a drive to an ATM machine. Economically depressed areas like Sao Paulo and Salvador are some of the most dangerous spots on Earth for gang violence. The crime doesn't just stick to the barrio, though. Rio de Janeiro, one of Brazil's premier tourist vacation destinations that is visited by around 1.2 million tourists a year, is also a hotbed of criminal activity. The growing chasm between the upper and lower classes in Brazil threaten to keep the violence going for the foreseeable future. The city is actually safer than it was a decade ago, but street crime is still common in many areas, especially at night. Political tension and the accompanying demonstrations are also a concern, so check your country's travel alerts before you book a trip. Know of any other extremely dangerous tourist destinations? Let us know down in the comments below. Also check out some of our other amazing videos on the channel. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody!